Welcome back to Digital Rage. I am Jeff, the producer here at Fish Tank Digital Cybersecurity Marketing. Our next cybersecurity integration episode is HubSpot. This episode, we're providing more detail into our HubSpot web integration and why positioning your website as the central intelligence hub is the best solution for preventing data silos, eliminating attribution gaps, and providing customized web conversion funnels. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into a problem that is, well, arguably the single biggest bottleneck for modern sales and marketing organizations. It's this silent war for data control. We're looking at sources that make a highly technical, yet, an incredibly powerful argument for overthrowing the traditional king of the data stack, your CRM, and replacing it with the website as the central intelligence platform.
That's really the heart of it. The core mission for any organization right now is breaking free from what the sources accurately call the walled garden. We're talking about a structural problem. When organizations adopt platforms like, say, HubSpot or Salesforce, they often rely way too heavily on the native functionality.
Right. You're talking about what the sources describe as the HubSpot trap, which, it sounds appealing, a pre-built ecosystem. But as we know, those ecosystems often come with invisible chains.
They do. And those chains create what we call self-inflicted data silos. If you're relying on the native forms, the native landing pages, or the native tracking scripts from your CRM, you are inherently designing your entire funnel inside that vendor's walled garden. And the moment you do that, you create data blind spots. You create attribution breaks. You get this fractured view of your user because the website just becomes a disconnected storefront rather than the centralized source of truth.
I think every marketing ops manager listening has spent a Saturday morning trying to troubleshoot why one field isn't syncing or why the attribution just broke. That's the pain we're talking about escaping. So let's get specific. What exactly is failing right now under the standard native CRM approach? We have a pretty detailed list of these critical gaps.
The failure is fundamentally one of unified identity. It really is. When the CRM dictates how the data is collected, you immediately start losing context about the user's journey.
And leading that list is the crucial attribution breakdown. The sources point out that if a business uses a native HubSpot form, those forms are, they're notorious for stripping away critical metadata, the UTM parameters, the referral source, the campaign ID, all of it, unless it's perfectly manually configured every single time.
And if they aren't, the pain is immediate. A lead that came from a $50,000 paid campaign on some niche site gets logged simply as website visit or direct traffic. That incomplete data means you can't justify your spend. You're literally flying blind.
And the problem goes beyond just that moment of conversion, right? There's this thing called engagement blindness. My CRM knows I clicked the form, sure, but what about all the behavior that happened before that?
Yeah, exactly. Crucial user activity, like page views on the main company website, often fails to sync correctly into the HubSpot engagement score. So your sales team looks at the lead record and sees, almost nothing. They think the lead is cold. But in reality, that person just spent 45 minutes devouring technical white papers and comparing pricing pages.
Yeah.
The data exists. It's stuck behind a wall.
And that leads us straight to the next problem, platform lock-in. So if that really valuable behavioral data is captured and is just sitting inside the CRM, getting it out to other tools that need it, the ABM platform, custom AI models, even internal dashboards, that becomes a huge, costly, sometimes impossible API project.
And that challenge is compounded by what the sources call the performance tax, relying on these heavy proprietary tracking scripts from a massive CRM vendor. These scripts are designed to do a lot of things, and they directly impact your page load times. This hurts your core SEO, it leads to higher bounce rates, and it translates directly into losing customers before they even get started, just because your site is slow.
So wait, we're trading convenience for lower conversion rates, fractured intelligence, and a slow website. That's a really tough trade. And we can't forget the small things, like design limitations where a generic form just dilutes the brand on an otherwise beautiful site.
Now, let's make this real. Imagine a technical company like one in cybersecurity, which the sources mentioned. They publish a super technical report on a new threat. A highly qualified prospect reads it, fills out a form, and because of that attribution breakdown, the lead record just says source, unknown.
And the sales rep gets a high priority notification, but with zero context.
Precisely. They don't know the lead consumed 3 specific technical docs, which would tell the rep immediately that this is a hands-on security engineer, not a CFO. And what's worse, the sophisticated tools the company pays for, ABM platforms like 6sense or Terminus, custom AI, they're all operating with a half-empty tank of data. They can't score or predict behavior if half the user's history is just gone.
Wow. And the security implication you brought up is huge. If that behavioral data isn't complete and centralized, your security teams lose visibility into whether a visit was a legit prospect or potential reconnaissance from a known threat actor. That changes the problem from just an inconvenient marketing gap to a high-stakes business intelligence and security failure.
It absolutely does. The stakes are immense.
So if the native CRM approach is the architectural liability, what's the antidote? We need to fundamentally shift where the intelligence comes from.
That's right. The antidote is shifting the entire technical focus away from the CRM, which, to be clear, is still excellent for managing the process of a lead and onto the website itself. The core concept is building the website as the primary data collection and governance engine. It's responsible for capturing complete, high-fidelity user intelligence before it distributes that intelligence everywhere else. This is the website-centric universal data sharing architecture.
Okay, let's drill into the technical side of this. This sounds a lot more complex than just installing another tracking script. What makes this open architecture standard so different from, just adding a few more APIs to HubSpot and calling it a day?
Well, it's the difference between asking systems to talk to each other after the data is already siloed versus ensuring the data is captured correctly and universally at the source. The foundational technical elements here, they ensure the data capture is complete and resilient, especially today.
So tell us about the identity layer first.
Okay, so we start with a first-party cookie architecture. This is critical. In this modern era of cookie deprecation and browser restrictions, relying on third-party cookies it's a losing game. By implementing a first-party architecture, the organization gets complete control over user identification. You're no longer reliant on a vendor's domain. The data belongs to you, and it's secured on your domain. That control is just paramount.
I see the value of first-party control, but isn't implementing a custom identity layer a huge undertaking? Are we just trading the convenience of a CRM for a massive technical headache?
That's a great question, and the answer is that the initial setup delivers long-term technical freedom. And part of that freedom comes from the second key feature, server-side event collection. This is huge.
Explain that for us. Why server-side versus the traditional client-side JavaScript tracking?
The traditional way is client-side. The user's browser executes a JavaScript, and that script sends data to HubSpot, Salesforce, whatever. That process is unreliable. It's susceptible to ad blockers, browser restrictions, slow connections, script failures. Server-side collection completely flips the script. The moment a user interacts with your website, that data is securely captured on your own server first.
So the reliability is dramatically increased because we're bypassing the user's local browser environment for that critical data transmission.
Precisely. We shift the workload and the risk away from the client. This guarantees much higher data fidelity, so fewer dropped events and a more complete picture of what the user is actually doing. You couple that with real-time data processing, immediate enrichment and distribution, and a privacy-compliant design from the start, data governance becomes a central function, not an afterthought.
So the website, acting as this super smart central engine, has captured all this high-fidelity server-side data. Now comes the hard part, right? Sharing it. How does it ensure clean, universal distribution to all these different systems that need it in different formats?
That's where the intelligence layer sits. We use a universal data sharing protocol. First, the data is standardized using a standardized JSON schema. This just ensures the data structure leaving the website is consistent.
But wait a minute, that standardization is great, but Salesforce and HubSpot need completely different data structures for a lead record, right? One might call it email address, the other primary contact ID. How is this new architecture automating that translation? Isn't that just replacing one headache with another?
And that's the critical component, the piece that makes this so intelligence. Field mapping intelligence. You're absolutely right. They use different schemas. This layer acts as the universal translator. It's a service that knows, for example, that the event form submission success needs to be mapped to new lead created in Salesforce. And it knows that the custom field technical content consumed needs to be converted into the right engagement score variable that HubSpot requires.
It's like the linguistic intelligence unit of the data stack. It lets us speak one common language on the website and then automatically translate that into the required dialects of every other platform.
Exactly. It eliminates the manual, brittle, point-to-point integration hell that most organizations are living in right now. You finally have a single source controlling the data flow and the translation.
It sounds like it's fixing the underlying plumbing and giving us much cleaner water. Let's talk about the measurable differences this creates. How does this architecture deliver superior forms and activity sync that actually helps marketers?
The improvements are immediate. Look at the forms themselves. They're now lightweight, operating with zero performance impact because the submission handling is asynchronous and server-side.
That's huge for keeping pages fast.
And critically, unlike the native CRM forms we just talked about, these forms preserve full UTM and referral preservation. Every single submission carries 100% complete attribution. Plus, they support advanced tactics like true multi-step forms, so you can track partial completions and abandonment with real context.
That's essential for optimizing those high-friction forms, but the real intelligence is in the activity synchronization, beyond just a basic page view.
Absolutely. We move from shallow engagement scores to deep behavioral insights. The architecture supports granular, detailed event capture. Take file download tracking. You know exactly which prospect downloaded your high-value white papers or your latest threat reports. And that event is logged universally everywhere in real time.
And the sources highlight video engagement metrics. Why is tracking video duration so much more insightful than just a binary click?
Because a user who watches 90% of a 10-minute technical demo is a prospect on a completely different level of intent than someone who clicked play and bounced after 10 seconds. In the old system, both might register as a video view. In this new architecture, you track duration, completion rates, even pauses. That level of detail is gold.
So we're not just fixing a sync with HubSpot, we're feeding the entire enterprise. Let's talk about the scope of that universal data distribution.
The scope is total. This architecture gives you the power to simultaneously feed multiple major systems: HubSpot, Salesforce, Marketo, internal databases, all from one clean event stream. And this specifically enhances your specialized platforms. You can enrich an ABM platform like 6sense or Demandbase with a complete server-side view of detailed website behavior so they can score accounts based on real engagement, not just firmographic data.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. The specific enhancements for technical and security-focused organizations. You mentioned gaining intelligence that is, well, genuinely high value beyond marketing.
Yes. This centralized intelligence allows for things like threat intelligence alignment. Because you control the data stream, you can integrate external IP databases, letting the system tag visitors from IPs associated with known threat actors or suspicious activity. That visibility is crucial for security teams.
Wow, so we're not just feeding marketing data, we're essentially providing real-time threat reconnaissance from website behavior. That shifts the value proposition completely.
It does, and it immediately improves lead qualification through technical role detection. By analyzing content consumption patterns, is this user reading compliance guides or are they downloading technical API specs? The system can infer and tag their likely role. See ISO versus security engineer. That insight is piped directly to sales for perfectly tailored outreach.
So we've covered the functional superiority, but zooming out, why should an organization really do this? It boils down to data ownership and control, doesn't it?
It is entirely about ownership, governance, and business continuity. When you own the data layer at the source, you have non-negotiable advantages. This architecture guarantees zero vendor lock-in. Your central intelligence framework stays platform agnostic. The vendor can change, but your core data structure doesn't.
Which means complete portability. If your company decides to switch from HubSpot to Salesforce, a traditionally catastrophic migration, you can do it without losing that historical engagement data. In the native setup, that historical data often just stays trapped, crippling your new system's intelligence from day one.
Exactly. You secure your single most valuable asset, the unified user identity and their complete behavioral history. Plus, you get those immediate benefits we talked about. Eliminating heavy third-party scripts leads to faster page loads, which improves conversion, and enhanced security by reducing your script exposure.
And the compliance aspect is simplified.
Significantly. Because consent management is centralized at the data collection layer, it ensures consistency across all connected platforms, GDPR, CCPA, whatever comes next.
And finally, unifying that data layer delivers on the analytical promise every executive wants.
It provides true cross-platform attribution. You can finally connect that initial HubSpot campaign click directly to the closed Salesforce opportunity in a clean, verifiable way. True ROI analysis. And that whole data set fuels superior predictive-led scoring and unified funnel analytics. The picture isn't fractured anymore. You see the complete journey.
That really summarizes the massive structural shift we've examined today. We moved from a world where your CRM effectively holds your data hostage behind a data wall to an architecture where your website is the trusted, robust, and complete source of universal user identity. The goal isn't just integration anymore, it is complete control and intelligence fidelity.
What's so fascinating here is how quickly this moves beyond just solving marketing's attribution headaches and becomes a core piece of enterprise business intelligence.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the ability to stream this complete, clean behavioral data in real time to your organizational data warehouses, your BigQuery, your Snowflake, it fundamentally changes how every department views and acts on user intent.
It provides the single trusted source of truth for every decision. So, we leave you with this final provocative question that builds on the necessity of this control. If the future of marketing, sales, and product strategy relies heavily on proprietary AI and machine learning models, how exposed are you if the complete raw behavioral data set, the absolute fuel for that future intelligence, is currently owned, formatted, and siloed by a single third-party vendor? Think about what you could truly predict and build with a unified, independent user identity.
Reach out to us at jbuyer.com for comments and questions. Follow us at Buyer Company on social media, and if you'd be so kind, please rate and review us in your podcast app.